happened again. It looks like ICE agents has fatally shot a man in Houston, Texas. Now we're going to get over into it. Some people are saying that he tried to drive at them, and the family members are saying that he was just trying to run away because he was scared and he didn't know who it was.
Breaking news out of Texas, where authorities are investigating after a man was shot and killed by an ICE officer during a traffic stop. The Department of Homeland Security says immigration agents were trying to detain Lorenzo Salgado Araujo in Houston early yesterday morning when he allegedly attempted to evade arrest. DHS says Araujo rammed a law enforcement vehicle, forcing an ICE officer to fire his weapon in what the department has characterized as self-defense. In a new video posted to social media, Araujo can be seen lying on the ground along with several other men who were in the vehicle at the time. Araujo was taken to the hospital shortly afterwards, where he then died. NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joining us now from Washington. Julia, Araujo's son is now speaking out, saying that his father, quote, did not deserve this. What else is the family saying? And what are we hearing from DHS about the officer's self-defense claim?
Well, we know that that is now being investigated by the DHS Inspector General, meaning the way that this man was shot by the ICE officer. And then the FBI in Houston is conducting an investigation into what they are claiming is an assault on the officer. The DHS is claiming is an assault on the officer. But I want you to hear what the son of Lorenzo Araujo is saying now. Take a listen.
Unbeknownst to me at 6:55, unbeknownst to all of us, my dad had been shot inside his van near the intersection of Wayside and Canal by ICE agents in unmarked cars. My father was a simple man, a family man, a man of routine. He dedicated his life in the United States to giving his family the American dream.
And of course, this comes as ICE is ramping up its arrests across the country, now over 2,000 a day compared to an average of 600 just about a week ago. And from DHS, we understand Lorenzo Araujo was illegally in the United States, but we do not know that he had any other criminal convictions or any kind of violent history in his past.
Just listening to his family there.
Now we know what ICE will do. We've talked about this before. They're going to go after anyone who is illegal in the United States. Yes, initially they said they're going to start out with just the criminals or the serious criminals, but they're going after anybody who's in the United States illegally. Now the main question is that we want to know is, did the ICE agents identify themselves clearly? Did they have some kind of marking saying that they were ICE agents, federal agents? And the main simple thing is, did he try to run over some officers or in general flee, not caring who was in front of him? Those are the main things we need to figure out to know if the shooting was valid. That's the main thing, because we've seen this several times before, to where if you drive your vehicle towards an ICE officer, they can claim self-defense. No matter what you say about it, but if they feel like their life is in danger, they will pull the trigger. We've learned that several times from different things. We got the baby in Mississippi, and then we have the woman who was shot in Minneapolis. But let's keep going into this and see what else we can find out.
Julia, trying to process the depth and just the harm of what's transpired here. We know that Araujo was not the only person involved in this arrest. Another man was detained during that same traffic stop. What more have we learned about him?
That's right. That is Daniel Pantojo, and we can see him on the ground in that video that we got from a doorbell camera of a neighbor there. We don't know as much about what he witnessed, haven't heard from him yet, but we did hear from his stepson, who posted this. If we could bring up this screen, he said, "We don't know where he is detained," talking about his father, "but we're hoping we can get a call tomorrow and go from there. What we do know is that one of the detained is going straight to sign and get deported, and we wouldn't want him to sign. We want him to fight and get justice." They mean signing papers for his deportation. This is a stepson of a man who was detained at that same stop, witnessed this shooting, and they want him to stay and to fight and try to have justice in his case, and possibly to be interviewed as part of this investigation.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes from here.
Now, I definitely 100% think that he needs to tell his side. They need to talk to all the witnesses. Don't deport anybody until you figure out exactly if this was a good shooting or a bad shooting. It's as simple as that. But let's get over into this next video and see what else it tells us.
A federal investigation underway after an ICE agent shot and killed a man during a targeted enforcement operation. It happened in Houston, Texas. ICE officials say Lorenzo Salgado Araujo tried to ram his vehicle into an ICE vehicle and then attempted to run over an agent. So pretty tense in that street. By the way, that man's family now stepping forward saying they want a full investigation. Listen.
I am deeply heartbroken to see that the man who taught me the value of hard work, family values, and education will no longer spend an evening on that porch. I am calling for a full investigation into the events that transpired yesterday, July 7th. He did not deserve to die. He did not deserve to be reduced to a headline of Mexican man shot and killed by ICE. He deserved to live a quiet life as Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, a husband, a father, and a job creator for dozens of men who also wanted the American dream.
Let's go live to CBS News reporter Shauna Mizell. Shauna, you can't look away when you see the emotion on that man's face. You know, we think about the ICE shootings in Minnesota and how the public had the benefit of video to judge for themselves what happened there in those tense moments. What do you know about any video that could exist that would help us understand that happened?
Well, Reed, you're right. It's absolutely tragic. And you see that fresh, raw emotion coming from the son, Ronaldo, there. LULAC, the civil rights organization, is actually calling for the public to submit any video that they have to them. They're calling for an independent investigation. They're saying if folks have Ring camera footage, to share it with them. And they also have a $5,000 reward that leads to any answers in this case. Right now, answers are very limited. We heard from some congressional lawmakers today at a presser, and they are saying that this is why they have been pressing for ICE reforms. You mentioned the killing of Renee Good in Minneapolis, Minnesota. A lot of parallels have been drawn between that, what happened then, and what we saw happen in that Magnolia Park neighborhood of Houston yesterday. So folks are definitely searching for videos and answers. All of this extremely fresh, not even 48 hours since that shooting occurred, Reed.
Yeah, you can't help but do what so many in the public are going to do, and that is seeing parallels between what happened in Minnesota and then this case in Texas, Shauna. And
now, I do wonder if they had some body cam footage. I do believe that any kind of agents, if they're doing an operation, they need to be wearing some kind of body cam footage just so we can review and make sure that they did the right steps and the appropriate steps within the law. I mean, it makes sense to me. But let's keep going into this.
Just like in Minnesota, where the conversation was who's in charge of the investigation, the local police, the state police, as we saw the push for in Minnesota, or the feds. Who's in charge here in the Texas investigation?
That's a very interesting question. There are a lot of agencies involved, but as far as that targeted enforcement operation, the Houston Police Department says they were not even involved in that. We do know that the Houston FBI field office is leading the investigation into the allegations that there was an assault against a federal officer. And then you have the Department of Homeland Security leading their own investigation into the shooting. So what we're hearing from the family, as well as community leaders and civil rights organizations, is a big call for an independent and transparent investigation. Some folks are saying they want to see the Harris County District Attorney get involved here.
All right, Shauna Mizell chasing answers.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see exactly how this falls out. But I think the main thing, the only way we can come to judgment is if we actually get some kind of video footage. Because at this moment, all we can say is, well, it depends on how many witnesses they have. But at this point, it's going to be the officers versus anyone who was in the car. And if the officer truly felt that his life was in danger, did he try to run or flee, no matter if the officer was in front of him or not? But we'll have to wait and see. But let's get over into the AI breakdown, y'all, to see what else we can learn from this whole tragic case. No matter how you feel, someone did lose their life. And it's a tragic situation. So let's get over into it and see what we can find out. So as we know, on Tuesday morning, July 7th, an Immigration and Custom Enforcement, or ICE, officer fatally shot Lorenzo, a Mexican national, during a traffic stop in Houston East End. So the shooting took place around 6:50 a.m. on Canal Street. The federal agents in an unmarked vehicle stopped the van as part of a targeted enforcement operation. He was driving a crew of 3 other construction workers to the home building site, including his brother. The other men were handcuffed and detained at the scene. So we got the conflicting accounts. So we know that ICE statement is that he ignored the verbal commands, rammed an ICE vehicle, and weaponized his vehicle in an attempt to run an officer over, prompting the agent to shoot in self-defense. And then we got the family's account. We got his eldest son, Ronaldo, stated at a press conference that his father was a peaceful man of routine with no criminal convictions. He stated his father likely drove forward out of fear that he was being robbed of his construction tools by an unmarked car. He emphasized that his father would have immediately complied if the agents had been driving marked vehicles or wearing visible law enforcement emblems. Now, on the video we saw of then when people were on the ground or picture, it did look like they had some kind of it was ICE, federal agents, whatever it said. It did look like they had some kind of writing on there, but I don't know if that was at the time of the stop. So his background. So we know he lived and worked in the Houston for nearly 35 years. He raised his 3 sons, all of whom are U.S. citizens and college graduates. While undocumented, his family stated that he had a Texas driver's license since 1993, owned his home for 27 years, and was actively close to obtaining legal status through an open work permit application. So the civil groups, the FBI Houston field office is leading the investigation into the alleged assault on a federal officer, while DHS Office of the Inspector General is investigating the shooting itself. The civil rights groups, along with the U.S. Representative Sylvia Garcia, are demanding an independent local investigation and the immediate preservation and release of all dash cam, body cam, and bystander videos. They cited past instances where initial federal narratives regarding ICE involved shootings were later contradicted by video evidence. Yes, and we've seen that in the what's it called? The one who was held down and shot. They said that he was reaching for a gun. The video evidence clearly, at least from my perspective, clearly showed that he wasn't. And then we got the Mexican president announced that her administration plans to take significant legal measures beyond the standard diplomatic notes regarding this death. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Absolutely crazy. But what are your thoughts, y'all? Do you think this was a good shooting or not? Or are you like me and need more evidence to come out to where we can make a decision? It's a tragic situation, but I've said this several times. I feel like we've learned this by now, that if an officer pulls you over, do not try to run, and especially do not try to drive your vehicle away with the chance of hitting him, because they will shoot. But like I said, the real question is, did he know they were federal agents? If they could clearly see that they were federal agents, then that claim that he thought he was going to get robbed goes out the window. But we'll have to wait to see if we find any information or any videos that actually of the shooting. But the real question, if we don't, will they ever be able to prove that if he was telling the truth? It's a tragic situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. And this is why we gotta look after this stuff, y'all. We gotta review the world together.